What's up guys, Andre here, and as you probably know, I've been playing Super Mario Maker for quite some time now, which means I picked up a few tips and tricks along the way. So that'd be fun to showcase 10 of them right here, right now, to hopefully help you make your level creation process a bit easier, or better for you. Now I'm gonna keep this a little bit informal, so please forgive me if I make any mistakes like I just did. And yeah, let's get to it. Alright, so tip number one is, of course, Mario is a side-scrolling game, obviously. But it's also a vertically scrolling game at times, and depending on how you set up your level, it'll actually scroll vertically differently, or rather, it either will or won't. So, of course, right now, it is scrolling vertically to keep up with Mario, and that's because there are elements that span both halves of the screen. But, as you can see here, there's actually a dividing line between both halves of the screen, and if everything comes in beneath that, like this, it actually won't scroll at all. So no matter how high you go, it won't scroll at all and functions like the original Mario Brothers, which is kind of cool. But of course, it's a little bit cramped up here right now. So what if you want the screen to scroll without having the platforms extend above both screens? Well, all you have to do is just put any element anywhere above the top of the screen, or above in the second half of the screen. So like along the ceiling, you can just hide it out of the way up there, and then the screen will now scroll without having to modify your platforms at all to account for that. Okay, tip number two. So if you're like me, you make mistakes all the time, and you probably have to delete things pretty often. So of course you have the eraser tool. I mean, it works fine, and you can also have a shortcut for it using the two shoulder buttons. So holding L, like L and ZL, and you can quickly delete that way. But that's kind of a pain to do. But anyways, an easier way to delete things is just grab it and drag it to the edge of the screen, either top or bottom, then let go. And it'll go away instantly. I use this all the time. You've probably seen me in my own videos doing this. It's really convenient. It's actually kind of fun. I don't know why, it's like you're throwing it away. Alright, tip number three involves warp pipes. Okay, so you probably know how warp pipes work. You drag Mario to it, it creates a warp pipe to a sub area. So I've already created three right here. And you can see they're all right now leading back and forth in the same order between sub areas. But what you may not know is you can actually stack warp pipes on top of each other. So let's go ahead back into the sub area. And again, we're going to pop out the left one here, but check this out. If we, let's see, we put this on top of that, and this one on top of this, and then go back, and then now warp, we can actually pop out all out of the same place. And we can even go back through it, and we'll come out of the one on the left. Now, the reason we're coming out of the one on the left is because you always, when you stack warp pipes, you'll always come out of the one, that you set down first, or the first warp pipe you set up. So it doesn't matter what order you stack them in, you'll always come out of the one that you first set up. So anyways, this is kind of cool if you want to have everyone to converge into one area. You can see this technique in my Frogger level, where depending on which of the 3 warp pipes or 5 warp pipes I have at the bottom of the stage, or 4, you'll always come out of the same one. So it makes it can kind of make the level seem a little bit more seamless, which I like. Alright. Let's see. Next up, for tip number 4, I'm going to show you some track techniques. And I've done this in a lot of my courses, where, let me reset this real quick, where I use tracks to do all kinds of tricks. One of them is to delay content. So in this case, let's say you had to hurry up somewhere, but you want to set a time limit. I made it in this case, so if you took too long, there's going to become a barrier of the flames. I forget what they're called. Flames down here in a sec. Here they come. So I took too long, and now there's just tons of flames to deal with, and there's really no good way past them. I mean, yeah, we can go underneath. Ignore that. I set this all up real quick. Anyway, so the way I set this up is I put a track at the top, and then they just drop on down, and then they travel along this horizontal section to further delay it, and then I have them dropping off of this track right here by tapping the edge. I should mention this too, a lot of people have been wondering about this. If you tap the edge of a track, you can make it so they'll either bounce back along the track and stay on indefinitely, or they'll drop off. So in this case, I have them dropping off onto another track below, where they get stuck on, and they'll just keep bouncing around up and down here. So, now one thing to keep in mind about tracks is that elements, like enemies, only spawn on them when they're about within the screen's width of Mario. So what I've been doing for a ton of my levels, like my Space Invaders level or Frogger, is I have Mario spawn in the center of the screen, such as by using a warp pipe. That's the best way to do this usually, is either with a warp pipe or a door. So he appears in the center of the screen, directly beneath the track in the middle, so everything spawns at the same time. If you don't do it that way, elements will spawn at different times, depending on how you scroll or move through the level, which can make it impossible to get through or set up things so they move in weird ways. And you usually don't want that. It depends on what kind of level you're doing. So anyways, just keep that in mind. You can use it to delay content here, and the tracks are really awesome in that way. Oh, one other quick thing too. A lot of people are wondering is if you set up and you probably know you can do diagonal tracks like this, or not like that, like this. If you shake a diagonal portion, you can make it curved, and then if you shake it again, it'll curve in the other direction. So you can do some pretty cool designs this way that look a little bit different than what you'd usually see. So I don't see a lot of people using curves that often, so definitely play around with it. Okay, tip number 5 is decoration. So, I mean, this isn't a big thing, but if you are trying to make a level immersive, going the extra mile and decorating it can go a long ways. And you've already seen that in a bunch of my levels already, where I've used different elements to decorate different things. So, a quick example over here is I made a little skyscraper just by using different elements. I have blocks for the perimeter, like bricks. Then I'm using the ice block, which become windows. And I'm using a mushroom top to create like a decorative roof here. And then I'm also using a platform behind all that to create like a concrete look to the building. So, depending on how you mix and match these elements, you can make things look really, look quite a bit different than how they would normally or ordinarily. You can also add like vines to make something look old, like it has moss growing on it, which you can see in my haunted house level. So yeah, you should just go all out. And now something else people have been wondering about how I did something in Frogger is in my Frogger stage, I actually have I have 2 different platforms layered on top of each other to give different background effects. So, and the way I did that is I just put 2. I made one taller than the other. And I'll change this one's background. There we go. And I put bricks at the top of the screen to cover the top of those platforms so you can't see them. And then all you can see is the area beneath them. So we have this nice grassy area now behind the concrete-looking section. So yeah, there you go. And you can layer up to 4 backgrounds over each other, or up to 4 platforms. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. If you try to do more than that, you start running into problems where platforms will be deleted. So yeah, using platforms, these platforms as backgrounds can really make a level look a lot more festive or different, and really help you evoke a different vibe. Like if you're going for a garden, this is a perfect background to use, because besides from the top, it doesn't interfere with Mario at all. So keep that in mind. Alright, next tip is actually involving platforms again, or tracks. So let's say you have... Let's go set up something here real quick. Let's throw down a few blocks. Let's put a platform behind it. And you know what, let's put some tracks behind it, or in front of it too. Okay, so one of the problems of dealing with using platforms or tracks in this way for decoration, or even part of the level design in the case of tracks, is when you want to move something around. Like if I want to, let's say I want to, oh actually I should have done this better, hold on. Let's run the track over the blocks. There we go, okay. So let's say I want to get rid of those blocks now, right? If I want to get rid of the question blocks without screwing up the track, especially if I already have things on the track, this can be a giant pain in the butt. Especially if I don't want to accidentally delete the platform too. Because look, if I try to delete these blocks, look, I deleted the platform already, I had to get rid of the track, I got rid of the things on the track, it's really annoying. So instead what we can do is grab a warp pipe, and make it as long or as small as you want, and just use it as a tool to quickly delete things. So there you go, I automatically deleted everything that wasn't a track or a platform without screwing everything up. So warp pipes are awesome in that way. You can use it as like a straight edge basically, and just easily take away elements from behind other elements, or in front of other elements in the case of the platform. Alright, next up, let's talk about sound effects real quick, because I've been using sound effects a lot in my levels, and I've seen a lot of questions about this. Because quite often, like in my Space Invaders level, I've been using them to evoke a different feeling. So like in Space Invaders, I had the bonus boos appear with power-ups and using tracks, and when they do, music accompanies it, so it sounds like it's a little bonus time event. And the way I did that is I took the, first off I grabbed the Bowser music here, which starts a boss fight. I shook it to get the mushroom music, and you can shake all the sound effects by the way, then attached it to the boo, or in this case I'll attach it to this guy. And so that means whenever that guy's on screen, check this out, it plays the happy music. So because the boos were on screen, it played the bonus music, or the happy music, whenever they were on screen. So you can do the same thing for boss fights. So let's say let's get out of here real quick. Let's add a Goomba here. Okay, Goombas are of course terrifying, right? The scariest bosses of all time. And if we add a the Bowser music to him. Go off screen real quick. Then run up to him. The music plays whenever he's on screen, which is a really nice touch. And then once you kill him, the music goes away. So you can use that in your own boss fights, and it's really cool. Now on top of that, if you actually want to play, if you want a different song playing throughout the entire level, just attach it to Mario. And it will now play the entire time. No matter, even if you go in a warp pipe. And speaking of warp pipes, if you attach it to a warp pipe, check this out. So let's go back real quick. The music now plays when you pop out of that warp pipe. And it'll play for, I think, as long as it's on screen. So similar to the enemies. Let's see. And then one more thing, I mean, and there's actually a bunch of stuff involving the sound effects, and I'll probably make a separate video about it later, but there is a lot more to them. But one of the cool things I like doing with the sound effects, which you might have seen in my Jolly Roger Bay level, and by the way, if you want to check out the levels I'm mentioning, I'll put a link to them in the description below. I do a lot of interesting techniques in them, so you may want to check them out. Is if you want to, like, make an enemy seem scarier, but not have it be a boss or something, you can just attach a heartbeat sound effect to them. And again, it'll play whenever he's on screen. So that wiggler is now causing Mario to get nervous. The screen's pulsating, you can hear the heart effect, the heart sound effect, and it's really cool. Alright, let's see, tip number 8 is how you can make enemies interact with one another, or how you can make enemies function differently by stacking them in different ways. So, I mean, you probably already know, obviously, you can stack enemies in almost any number of ways you want. But what's cool is you can use this to give one enemy the property of another, basically. So, for instance, chain chomps are awesome. But they're usually restricted to the ground. I mean, they're either stuck there to their post, or they're, you know, they can run around freely. But, even then, he's not going any which way. He won't follow you or anything. But what if you want a chain chomp to be a little bit more free roaming? Or if you want him to actually home in on you, for instance. All you have to do is stack him on top of a boo, and you now have a roaming chain chomp, and it can be terrifying. So you can do a lot of cool things this way. Similarly, Kameks, or Magic Koopas rather, are well known for basically being annoying. They warp around once they appear on screen on basically any platform, and that can be annoying. I mean, they're often, I mean, yeah, they're annoying to deal with. But what if you don't want the Kamek to warp around? What if you want him to do, what if you just want him to stay stationary? All you have to do is just add an enemy on top of him, like a Goomba. And look, he's suddenly stationary. He won't move around at all anymore. So now you can set up, this could allow you to create all kinds of interesting level designs. So by having like a wall of Kameks that don't warp around but only fire in one place. So on top of this, you can actually use this to do something interesting, which you may know from a previous video I did, where, check this out. Let's add some ground here so I don't fall. Good enough. With the Magic Koopa there, if he hits the, hold on, let me lower the ground here a little bit. There we go. Okay, with the weighted down Magic Koopa now, if he hits a flagpole, it'll disappear. So now you actually have to kind of take out the Magic Koopa now in order to get the flagpole back. So there you go, that's another cool thing you can do with enemies that I haven't seen a lot of people mention. Alright, okay, tip number 9. So you probably already know you can hold Y to scroll through the stage quickly. But this is also great if you want to quickly draw something on the screen, like place down blocks or ground. So all you have to do is just hold the stylus on the screen, then just hold Y as you use a control stick to drag around. You can draw so much faster this way. Similarly, if you want to move something, you want to copy an element from one part of the stage to another, same thing. Copy it, hold it down, and hold Y as you're dragging. It may sound like a small thing, it saved me so much time, because I often have to rearrange elements when I'm creating a level in order to make it play better. So that's something that can be useful if you find yourself doing that often too. Alright, finally, this is a very simple thing, but it is something that has also helped me. So, as you probably know, if you hit the play button in the bottom left corner while editing, you start off right where you are. That's great, it's actually usually exactly what you want most of the time. But there are also times you just want to replay the level from the very beginning, without having to reposition Mario at the start every single time. And the way to do that is just hit the minus button instead on the gamepad. hit minus, and it starts at the very start, just as if you're playing the actual level. The only difference is he might actually have a power-up on him if you decide to put one on him. And speaking of which, as you probably saw, you can apply a power-up directly to Mario to give him those abilities temporarily within the stage. Again, it won't take place if you're actually playing the game, or playing the level or uploaded or something. And similarly, did you know that when you're playing a stage in editor mode, you can grab Mario with the gamepad and drag him wherever you want? This is awesome. It's something I only realized a few weeks ago. And it can be really useful when you're playing a stage, where you have to hop it into the editor, move Mario around, then hit play again. So, it can also allow you to test various objects, or various elements. Like my Space Invaders level, I would use this to see how different elements were interacting with each other in an area where I normally couldn't see them, or even get to, because I had so many enemies in one place. Because Mario is totally invincible when in this form. Anyways, guys, there you go. Those are my 10 tips, maybe even more, depending on how you count on it, or count it. Jeez, I can't even talk anymore. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed them. And of course, keep an eye on GameXplain for more on Super Mario Maker and other things gaming as well. Thanks, guys. Bye.